Why is extreme ownership the fastest way to learn? Well, think of the alternative. If you think it's somebody else's fault, some other circumstance outside of your control, do you spend any time trying to fix it? No, you try and avoid that, blame other people, rationalize it. Now, it can be true. It really is. It could be absolutely zero your fault. But if you take ownership of it, you'll at least be proactive and won't feel like taking revenge or hatred. You will focus on fixing yourself, becoming better at it. Let's take a bunch of examples, like a flight gets delayed. Now, you can blame the airline, which everyone does, or you can say, well, wait a second, do I have an alternative? Am I flying at the most optimal time for the least amount of flight cancellations? Now, I used to travel all the time, and I travel with people who would just, make the reservation on the way to the airport, and that can work. Or they would fly on Sunday and on Monday morning at the worst possible times, and they would complain and blame the airlines for that problem. And what I did is I started noticing a pattern. I'd search the internet. What flights have the least cancellations? What time of day? What airlines? What airports? All of these things. I'd only fly to hubs, so you have a ton of different options. There's flights every hour. I would typically flight first thing in the morning because guess what? The plane has all night to get there. A lot of people like to fly at rush hour. I hated flying at rush hour. The planes were always full. Sundays, it's amateur hour. You've got all these kids and grandkids and families flying together. Now, by me taking ownership over that instead of blaming the airlines, I can't remember, maybe 1 out of 50 flights in the morning would be delayed or canceled, other than because of weather. I would typically fly on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, not on the weekends, because everyone does that. First thing in the morning, the flight is there, and then I would try and get either right before rush hour or after rush hour. I used to hate that because usually the last flight of the day is almost guaranteed to be delayed because guess what? It has all day to get delayed and the chain reaction of things. And, on the rent-a-car side, I always went with the biggest company because they had the most selection, the most cars, and the least likeliness that you're going to get hosed over or another delay. And this pattern that I had, I just built over the years, and I refused to get out of it because all of the thinking was taking away. I'd see all these people I worked with getting on their phones, calling people, blaming everybody else. I owned it. And this is something that I don't see in many people. I'll give you another example. I interview a lot of important people. Very few of them know how to manage their calendar very well. They all ask for, well, what kind of questions are you going to ask me? So I have a FAQ. Did they read it? Of course not. Do they put the thing on their calendar without being prodded? Of course not. Do they show up on time? Of course not. All of this stuff. And of course, it's always someone else's fault. And you're like, and I understand, it's out of their pattern. They're not used to it. I've literally had to put in the invite, okay, no cell phones, no public places, no cars, no lobbies, no airports, because guess what? All of those things have happened. People think, oh, I'm going to do a podcast interview in traffic on my cell phone. Well, guess what? That's not going to come across very good from a sound quality standpoint. And people haven't used Skype in years. I always say, log in, test your password. Here's a YouTube link on how to do it. No one does it. They're all like, how does this work? And I have earbuds as a minimum. They're all talking into their computer. This is my life. And I own it, okay? But there's only so much preparation you can do before you drive people crazy. And I've had people cancel because this is too demanding. It's not really demanding. All you have to do is show up, and I'm talking about you. But that's my life. And how often do you hear people complain about something that they caused? I used to have this saying. It's like, okay, cause the problem, complain about the problem, blame the problem on somebody else. Now, think about that. You caused it. You blame somebody else. What is the likelihood that you'll ever fix that? And okay, is it fixable? You can only fix it so much on your side, but you have to own it. And in sales, we have to own it. You accepted the job. You accepted the territory. Now, did you push back? Did you negotiate? Did you demonstrate your value? And all I hear are situations that are preventable. Repairing in sales is really hard. Possible, but really hard. Prevention is really simple, but you have to do it. You have to contact multiple people within the account. You have to dig into why they're really doing it. You have to assume they're going to go on radio silent on you. You have to assume that this is going to get delayed or not happen because other things come up. How do you keep it going and top of mind? Now, all of those things aren't really hard to do, but you have to do it. It's like checking out the flights. It's making sure that you are covering and doing the best you can. Now, nothing works every time, but what you're trying to do is minimize the downside. Extreme ownership. It's your freedom. It's actually easier once you get used to it. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode. And I really would appreciate everybody who goes onto LinkedIn, connects up with me or follows me there. If you happen to see some of my content flying by, if you could throw a little thumbs up or a comment or a share, I definitely appreciate it. It helps spread the word about the podcast. And make sure you're checking out my website, b2brevenue.com. You can get my free book on how companies make product selections. It's a real book. It is on Amazon, but I give it away for free. Just register there. It'll email you a link to it, and you can just download the PDF from there. Also, if you want to check out the courses, start the conversation, get the meeting, or closing the complex sale, and you have more questions about it, the short answer is there are video courses. You get access for a year, but it's also a community. What does that mean? You can ask questions anytime via voicemail or email. I answer them within a week, put them into the course. We have office hours every other week. It's an hour long course where you can I pick a topic, answer questions, you can ask questions. Also, you can schedule one-on-ones for free, and we just talk through your particular use case, and that gets shared with the course. So if you don't have time for office hours or the timing doesn't work, or you just want some more one-on-one help, that's all included for a whole year. So it's really a year to go from where you are to where you want to be. And so it's not just videos. It's not just knowledge. It's practice. It's getting feedback. You can send me emails. You can send me your presentation. I'll help you with anything that you need to close the complex sale or get the meeting. And you can check out them at b2brevenue.com. So that's it. I really appreciate it. And please tell somebody about the podcast and let me know if I can help you in any way. Oh, and you want to hear some results from the course? Well, here you go.
I love the approach. It's working for me just fantastic. If I sent you some of the emails, which I should, the conversations that I'm having with people, I think you'd be blown away because they're not really about work. Yeah. I've figured out if you can kind of get personal with them, like one lady, it's all about her family, kids. And then I sprinkled in a little bit around work, and she's LinkedIn, sending me messages on LinkedIn, photos of her family. No, I'm not even kidding. I should show this to you. You'd be stunned. I was shocked. And we're going to lunch on September 6th. And yesterday she shot me a LinkedIn message and said, "Hey, Ron, why don't we get on the phone and do a video call beforehand so our lunch isn't so awkward? We're like barely not meeting each other for the first time." Oh, holy cow, right? Like, this is unbelievable. So this is not the first time that this has happened. She's kind of an extreme, but I'm starting to figure out a pattern where I can actually make this a process, So
good. Yeah.
I'll show you that. So it's getting to that point. And every time I do this, I'm like, God, this is unbelievable, So,
and it feels better too, doesn't it?
Oh, Brian, let me tell you something. To be able to go to lunch with her, I'll even talk to her on the phone, right? We're going to talk about family, kids, work-life harmony, because I shared a thing with her from Bezos about work-life harmony. This is where the conversation will start. Now, at some point, we're both not stupid, right? We know we're going to talk about work. We know why we're both there.
Right.
But to kick it off this way is so much better. And to end that lunch with the last 5 to 8 minutes of telling, well, what are you guys doing with digital